Okay, hello and welcome back. Just making sure that my mic was coming through. This is loud for me. Okay. So we're doing something a little different today. Hi Two Flower, hi James. We are playing a solo TTRPG. Basically, it's like playing a tabletop role-playing game, except you're by yourself. And this particular rule set was created by Stefan Gagny, who is the writer for one of the writers for Fiction Factory games, and has been doing most of the games as of late. So I wanted to try it when it was released, but then the Kickstarter for Burn the Midnight Oil was launched. I felt I should stream that sooner because it's only going to be up. The Kickstarter is only going for a month. I haven't even checked to see where it's at. So this is the rule set. This is the core rules here. This is available for free on itch. You don't have to pay for anything. But if you pay at least, you can pay something, and if you pay at least $5 US, then you get this fancy dancy dice roller. So it helps you. It's you can roll a D10 or a D20, and you can ask this is basically the city oracle is the stand-in for the GM. That you can do a skill check, skill versus skill if appropriate, and is it a normal roll? Is it with advantage or disadvantage? If it's advantage, you roll 2 dice and you take the higher number. If it's with disadvantage, you roll 2 dice and you take the lower number. And then citizens are basically the people in whatever your setting is, and the standard factions are the haves and the have-nots. Basically the people with the money and the power and the people without. And then this is to help you create a location in whatever city you're creating. You know, uptown, which is usually where the haves live, or downtown, which is usually where the have-nots live. And then this is to help you determine what kind of incident you want to happen, and if you want to set the stage for your characters and conversations between your characters. What's the weather like? And then have them go somewhere, and then maybe they need to do a heist or something. So let's see, here we go. I'm not going to go into too much detail with the rules, because the point of doing this stream is for me to actually use this in my own setting, because I already came up with something years ago. I meant to look up when I created the document. Let's see. No. Can't actually look at the properties? Come on. But just to give you an idea of how old this document is, the initial document that I created when I came up with the idea, it's a .doc file, not a .docx file. So I created it in Microsoft Word. Let's see. Date created. This is 2018, but I feel like that's wrong. Date modified says 2010. So I think the date created is when I put it on this computer. So yeah, that gives you an idea of just how old this document is, how long ago I had this idea. And it was actually probably... So basically the idea that I had, I had to convert it to a Young whippersnapper. Back in my day, we had TXT and RTF if you were fancy. I did use those at one point, James. Before, I remember using WordPerfect to write stories. So I am older than that. So I am not a young whippersnapper. So I found this art on DeviantArt, and this is the actual link. It does work. It's still there. So here's a larger version. So I saw this art, and the artist came up with their own description. Above the gold-kissed clouds and concrete glory stands a pillar of man's success. The building shimmers in splendid hues of golds, pinks, and velveteen purples, capped by an immense glass orb. Within grows a lush garden, providing fresh produce, clean air, and a place for leisure for the inhabitants of this building. Here the rich hold elegant balls and gatherings for their fellow capitalists, having gained their riches from the misery of the poor. Meanwhile, the earth sweats in a humid, deplorable heat beneath the iridescent pink of fluffy clouds above, suspended as if by strings by the gods. Toxins color the air crimson, hardly a tree daring to grow in the terrible conditions outside. Within the meager shelter of hovels powered by the devices of the rich, the common man struggles to survive, fed only by the hand of the very same secret society that led them to their own downfall. They scuttle quietly about in darkened concrete alleys, illuminated by dingy yellow light, mere cockroaches to those that watch them from on high. And it's called Pulpit on High. So that's what the artists came up with. And yeah, that's so then I originally came up with this idea as an AU for a musical called Crazy for You, which is basically a jukebox musical using songs by George and Ira Gershwin. It's a bit like Mamma Mia, but just different artists. And George and Ira Gershwin were brothers. Yes, Ira was a boy. One of the bangers is George Gershwin is the composer. He wrote Rhapsody in Blue. And one of the songs in Crazy for You is I Got Rhythm. And it was originally from a musical called Girl Crazy that starred Mickey Rooney and Judy Garland. A very young Mickey Rooney. I've seen clips. I was like, who is that? And I had to look it up to see that it was Mickey Rooney, because I'm used to seeing him as an old fart. Anyway, so this was what I came up with. I barely remember the description from the artist. Thanks to biological, chemical, and technological warfare, Earth has almost been destroyed. Shocking pink clouds form a permanent floating cloud cover, preventing the toxic, sickly green air from dissipating. The only way to escape the toxic air is to live in buildings sealed from the air with airlocks that cycle out the toxic air before allowing one into the building itself. The taller the building, the more expensive it is to maintain, and most of the less expensive ones are shabby, though the airlocks are kept in top working order because they prevent the toxic air from getting in. The tallest buildings actually break through the pink cloud cover and each topped with a massive glass bubble. Within the bubbles are vast gardens complete with lakes and streams. Vegetables and fruits are grown in these gardens to feed the inhabitants of these towering testaments to humanity's achievements. From the glass bubbles, an observer sees only the tops of the clouds, pearly pink from that angle, with the sickly green air below barely hinted at between the clouds. Since the taller buildings are expensive to maintain, only rich people can live in them, leaving the smaller buildings for the poor to live in. When the toxic air first began to spread over the earth, the world government decreed that every person, regardless of their economic standing, be issued a protective skin that will adjust as the person grows up. They could either cover a person from head to toe with spectacles built into the hood part, or unpeel from the head and fingers. Shortly after that, the government disintegrated under the chaos and anarchy being generated by the rapid changes in Earth's environment, and the rich assumed power. They ensconce themselves in the tall buildings and take advantage of genetic engineering to distinguish them from the poor. Yeah, and here we go. Anyway, there are two different fights for survival taking place. Up above the clouds, the rich are constantly jockeying for more money and power, arranging marriages and buying out their opponents. Below the clouds, the poor literally fight amongst themselves to keep what little they manage to cobble together, often forming cooperatives to help each other. The lone wolf doesn't survive long in either world. If they don't form an alliance, they will fall prey to those who have done so. The rich are, for the most part, happy with the way things are with things the way they are. They have no desire to change the status quo. The poor naturally wish to improve their situation, but see no way of doing it without help from the rich, and there is little chance of that ever happening. So this is just what I basically just imported the Word document. So this is what I'm actually going to use to keep track of things as I use the setting. So I came up with this clearly back in 2010. I thought it was earlier than that. Originally, like I said, it was originally going to be an alternate universe for Crazy For You fanfic. And then I was like, what if I just wrote it as an OG fic? Which is what these other notes are here, which was basically me deciding what the different, the equivalent characters would be. And basically, these are the characters from Crazy For You, and these are the characters from the OG fic, which I did start to write, but I wasn't completely satisfied with it. And I think part of that is because I was still trying to figure out where I was on what my position was in terms of writing hex stuff or queer stories, because originally my OG story was going to be het, because that's, you know, that's what most pop culture has been, popular media has been, since then, you know. But since then, of course, I've come to focus more on queer stories. I try to go queer whenever possible when I play visual novels, as has been as people you're probably familiar with if you've seen me play visual novels. So I was actually thinking about this in the shower. Like, I was thinking about what I would say, how I'd introduce all this stuff, because that's the way my brain works sometimes, is just hyper-focused. So we need two protagonists, because it's so much of a story if there's only one protagonist. I mean, we could, that's the way visual novels work, but that's because you get a choice of who your character ends up with, or anyone. So basically, but the first step would be, let's see. So I've already got a city. I don't really have a city, it's more a tower. And I think it's more going to be, everything is contained within one tower, and the higher up you live in the tower, the richer you are. And so the lower you are in the tower, the poorer you are, because of course the rich people are not going to want to live below the clouds, or they'll want to live as close to the top as they can. Like, they literally want to be on top. Because obviously this is just, this is rough and ready, basically. But basically it's really hard to travel from one tower to another tower. And originally my idea for the AU was that one set of characters lived in one of the really tall towers, like this one, and the other set of characters lived in a shorter tower that didn't quite pierce the clouds yet. Like, basically there is always the people in the shorter towers that don't quite break through the clouds are always trying to make theirs taller, which is complicated by the toxic air outside. And then the way to bring those two communities, to bridge that gap between the two communities, one character from the taller tower doesn't like the life he's living. He doesn't like the way things are in the life he's living, so he creates an air vehicle, like planes and stuff it's hard for them to work in this kind of environment, and so he creates some sort of aircraft and flies it and ends up basically crashing onto the top of the shorter tower. And that was the inciting incident that was going to start the AU, and then I just never wrote the rest. So I think we're just going to start with 2 characters in this one tower that's depicted here. So we have our 2 characters. Now we need to, also we need to come up with factions. Well, so at this point there's really only 2 factions. Let's see. Format. Okay. We'll leave that for now. To help me keep track of what each thing is. So factions. So we have the haves and have-nots. Just to make things simple. The names might change later, but this is just the rough outline. Notable characters within the faction. So basically, in a way, this is kind of a Romeo and Juliet kind of story. We have a character from each faction, and they end up falling for each other, but shenanigans ensue. So protag. Can never remember if it's O or S. Protagonist 1. And then have not protagonist 2. And then citizens. Okay, so this is, I'm gonna italicize that to help me be aware that that's a heading. So I already decided that these 2 protagonists are both going to be assigned female at birth. And there needs to be a reason for the, you know, they have everything. They have the money, they have the power. There has to be a reason that this character doesn't want to stay amongst other haves. So my idea is that the protagonist from the have faction is actually non-binary. And, you know, the rich people tend to be conservative because they don't want to lose their wealth. So they don't want to lose their wealth, they don't want to lose their power. So they always, and they don't want anything to challenge the status quo. Well, someone being gender roles enforce the status quo. So anyone who goes against gender roles is no bueno in their opinion. They don't like any challenge to the way things are supposed to be. So someone who refuses to stick to gender roles is dangerous. So both our protagonists are assigned female at birth. But protagonist 1, their pronouns are they, them. Protagonist 2, their pronouns are she, her. Or as I like to type it, her, she, because it sounds like the chocolate bar. Very few people actually pick up on that when I do that, when they see me type her, she. So I need names. So what are the naming conventions? I like to pick gender neutral names for my OCs when I play games. Just because. Or names that you just need to change the spelling slightly and it changes which gender they are. Because that's kind of what my sibling did, was their middle name could be considered gender neutral. And they liked their middle name anyway because it was sort of, their given name was an homage to my aunt who passed away before they were born. And their middle name is actually a name that my aunt would have used if she'd had a girl, but she had 2 boys. So they liked their middle name. So the shortened version of their middle name was gender neutral, so they picked that for they preferred to be called that. Let's just say that. So let's look for gender neutral names. I didn't know there was a Reddit for non-binary. A subreddit. Okay, top unisex baby names of 2026. Kai, Rowan, Noah, Asher, James. James is gender neutral? Or unisex? I don't think so. Some of these are not unisex at all. What are they thinking? Unique? Why would I name a baby Unique? Noah is not gender neutral. I don't think, not this one. Angel I can see being gender neutral. Jordan I can see being gender neutral. This, Avery, Riley, Quinn. Yeah, some of these are just like, are these really gender neutral? Do you know what gender neutral means? Yeah, these are definitely more gender neutral. Armani? Who names their kid Armani? Okay, let's go with Angel. Because I can see parents naming their daughter Angel, because that they feel that she is their perfect child, their lovely baby. And then let's go with Let's look for female character names. Abby, Abigail. Abigail reminds me of Abigail Adams. Alexandria, Alice, Alicia. Let's go to the bottom because apparently this is in alphabetical order. It's Zoe, Zelda, Yvonne, Yvette, Yolanda, Wendy. Well, that just makes me think of Peter Pan. Wanda, Violet, Viola, which is actually an instrument, but it does work as a name. There's a character in 12th Night. Her name is Viola, but she ends up going by Cesario because she disguises herself as a man. Victoria, Vicky, Veronica, Vanessa, Valerie, Ursula, Trish, Trisha, Trina, Tracy, Tina, Thelma, Teresa, Tanya, Tammy, Tabitha, Suzanne, Susan, Sue, Stephanie, Stacy, Sophie, Sophia, Sherry, Shelby, Sharon, Sarah, Sandy, Sandra, Samantha, Sally, Sabrina, Ruth, Rosie, Rose, Rita. Let's go with Rita. I haven't seen many characters with that name. So, citizens. So we need, I was gonna say, I was gonna use a term that would be kind of funny to use. We need parents for at least Angel. And plus, Angel also makes me think of the character from Rent. So I want this Angel to have a better fate than that Angel. So. So, Angel's parents. Okay. There we go. Which tab do I need? So Gloria for the mother. Scroll down a bit towards the middle. Oswald. Ruben. Ward as a first name, huh? Let's go further up. Ichabod, haha. Ernest. The importance of being earnest. Edwin. There we go. Edwin and Gloria. So basically they are the absolute top of the food chain. Because why not? Let's make it really extreme. Okay, Rita's parents. Norbert. Let's go with Timothy and I don't know why I'm scrolling all the way back. Okay. Now do we want to go the absolute opposite where they are basically the bottom of the barrel? I don't know. They're definitely much lower on the tower. Maybe not ground floor, but definitely close to it. Okay. So, so now looking at each character more closely, let's come up with some stats for them. So, Angel, who, as I said before, uses they, them pronouns. City roll. Oops. Sound line. So, I don't really have a specific role in mind for either of these characters, just that one is a have and one is a have not. So, let's see. Let's use the dice roller. Roll a d20. 7. Corporate executive. Not quite. Doesn't quite fit. Well, car dealer. They don't use cars because they're stuck in this tower. Come on, give me something good. I know you can roll above a 10. Con artist. That seems more like something that would go in the have not column. Thank you. Police detective. Okay, this isn't working. No. I would actually say either an influencer or a celebrity. Let's go with celebrity. So their personality. Oh, don't have a personality defined yet. Oops. Come back here. Okay, city role, personality, motivation. Okay. So these are come with a starting skill or 2. Okay, so since I picked celebrity, let's go with I think I can close that actually. So plus 2 performance. Excuse me. I don't know why I'm yawning so much. Plus 2 prestige. And minus 2 discipline. Now the reason I picked celebrity is because of course their parents are the top of the food chain in the tower. So there we go. Okay, coming back up. Personality. So that's another table. Roll once on personality. This table will give you the basic. Okay, so there's no actual personality. Oh, personality and star reputation and then motivation. Okay. So let's see if the dice roller works with me here. 8. Hang on. I have music playing in another browser, so it was paused. Okay, so I rolled an 8. Perpetually anxious. I could see that. Oops. There's my 0. Okay. And then motivation. So let's roll again, see what the motivation is. 13. No more secrets. Yeah, that works. That works with what I've got for her so far. No more secrets. Or them, excuse me, them. Secret request, well, kind of secret amnesiac brainwash, conspired to murder a cult member, Okay. I'm not gonna roll because this is perfect. Line 2 and Empire. Request. Get me out of this city. There we go. What else? Description. I don't really have a look in mind, so we'll leave that for now. Physical health. I am bad at descriptions. Physical health. 2 of 2. Mental health. 2 of 2. Okay. Some of these come with a starting skill or 2 for assistant. They may also include specific physical health and mental health, while not specified, assume 2 physical and 2 mental. Okay, and then these are skills. So, Rita. Okay, so, roll. Okay, let's see. 9. Homeless. No. Let's try again. 1. Bartender, barista. Yeah. I can work with that. Oops. Next is, okay, that was a city role, personality, and motivation. 16. Bold risk taker. Yeah. Oh, this is gonna be fun. And motivation. 20. I rolled a 20. Uplift others before self. Yeah. Oops. This way. Okay, and then next is secret request. So, does she have a secret? Another 20. Witness a murder. Oh, I like that. And then the request. 2. Complete makeover help. I don't think that can quite work. 11. Needs protection from threats. Yeah, that'll work. Okay, don't really have a description. Oops. Okay, so, whoops. Nope, not this. This. So, bartender, barista, whoops, up here. +2 insight, +1 prestige. So physical health, 2 out of 2. Mental health, 2 out of 2. Okay. Secret to request. Locations. So some of these locations are not going to work. Just because of the setting that I have in mind. So there's so let's see, locations. So we have the top of the tower, and then there's the bar that Rita works at. I'm gonna say bar. I'm gonna stick with bar. So there's definitely going to be a corporate headquarters. So let's actually, let's split this up into the 2 of them. So we have a corporate headquarters. City park, gardens. Just going based off of what I put in my description up here. There's different, there's a city park, well, just park in general. Gardens, let's see. Fancy restaurants. And that they get the freshest of ingredients to use. Oops, this. Let's just say luxury apartments, gardens, parks. Because it's easier to have apartments, so you really can't have a mansion in a tower. because these are massive towers. There aren't really tourist attractions because there isn't really a tourism thing going on. So, bottom of the tower. So very few people actually live in the very bottom of the tower. That part is just abandoned apartments. Pretty much anyone who lives down there is either homeless or they have something they want to hide. Yeah, junkyard, dump. It's where everything that people aren't, that's been broken or isn't useful anymore, that's where it ends up. It's at the bottom of the tower. Why do I keep typing a P? Because I don't have my fingers in the right spot. So, so we're gonna cross, we're gonna do, can I do a straight through? Nope. We'll just delete barista. Okay. Just to make it clear that she's a bartender. Okay. Okay. Perfectly Mundane City is fine, and the rules and tables and such forth we've introduced so far will do a great job eliminating that. What about magic? What about mystery, lore, mythology, strangeness, horror, and wonder? There are story scenarios. Okay. Okay. So this is where we really flesh out our protagonists. So we're gonna take this and move it down. Whoops, missed part. So I'll work on fleshing out their parents. I want to focus on fleshing out our protagonists first. Okay. A dreamer within the city aspiring to greatness. And in case people are curious, this is Dr. Mayhem from Penny Larceny Gig Economy, super villain. You know what I mean. This is Grace from Arcade Spirits The New Challengers. This is Loxley from Arcade Spirits The New Challengers. This is Farsight, also from Penny Larceny. Anyway. Skill plus 2. 2. Skill +2, mental or physical. Stop yawning. So it's a simple system of skill checks to handle conflict resolution. It's meant to be very lightweight, just enough to keep things moving along so you can focus on the narrative of your journey through this city. Skills are simple and flexible. You decide what skills you have, not from a pool of acceptable ones, but from any word in the language. These may represent activities you can do above and beyond an ordinary untrained person's baseline capabilities. Anyone can drive a car, but are you exceptionally good at driving? Anyone can shoot a gun, but have you trained to actually hit something rather than fire wildly? Can you knit a scarf or disassemble a toaster? Okay, that's important, but so a skill you can roll some dice for. Some common and active skills include fighting, shooting, persuasion, insight, investigation, evasion. But they don't have to be activities. Sometimes a trait makes sense. All of these can count as skills, since ultimately you'll be rolling to see how little or how much these traits affect outcomes. When a conversation seems to hit upon a trait, roll it. Prestige, discipline, bravery, trauma, endurance, charm, lucky. These are especially fun to use as weaknesses. Having a -2 to discipline makes you a hothead who doesn't react well to being challenged. Sometimes you can rise above it and steel yourself, but often you don't. Weaknesses steer the plot just as much as strengths, if not more so. Being a Swiss Army knife of useful skills is okay, but being a hot mess can be way more fun and cause all sorts of unexpected twists than just, do I succeed in this task or not? That's something that I saw when I was watching Exandria Unlimited when Abria was the GM and Matt was one of the players. His character kept failing rolls and he loved it. He was so excited because it was just more fun that way. Right. Okay, so her skills are +2 performance, and then come back here. And +2 prestige, and then weakness. This is a weakness. -2 discipline. Okay, let's move this up here. I'll have to think about what they look like later, because that's not my focus here. My focus is just to figure out the different things. Okay. Goal name. This is their goal. Get me out of the city. Concerns. we'll leave those there. Relationships. Edwin and Gloria. Neutral for the most part, because obviously the actual the start of this whole thing is going to be I have a big idea that the start is going to be Angel finally just burning bridges and getting the hell out of there. So right now, Angel's relationship with their parents is neutral. They're not quite behaving the way their parents would like, but they haven't done anything truly horrendous so far. With have not, I would say at least a +1. No, a +2, because their parents have a +3, because their parents are the top of the heap. Why did I put have-nots? So they have a +2 because their parents are, because of who their parents are. Inventory. Let's see. Items. Okay, so 2 skills to gain a +1 bonus. I'll have to think about that. I have to think about this other possible weakness as well. So, and the discipline doesn't have to be about keeping your temperature. It could just be about learning patience and stuff. Let's start with 5 points of health. You can divide between these 2 types to determine your maximum. This means being 3 of 2 or 4 of 1. You could go 5 of 0, but that means being permanently exhausted physically or mentally with no recourse. Challenging story, but it could make an interesting representation of disability or trauma. Let's go with 3 mental health and 2 physical health. Okay, so goals, concerns. Okay, here we go. Goals are similar to traditional RPG requests, working towards one desired outcome and obstructing it off your to-do list completely. You specify what tasks are needed along the way to achieve that ultimate goal. This could be parts of a whole or a series of contacts you need to reach out to, or any other set of subtasks that make sense. But goals should always have a distinct end phase. There aren't ongoing and endless concerns. For that, you'll want a concern that represents an ongoing problem. Concerns are a key feature of the City Unseen. Going on an adventure that strikes items off the to-do list is satisfying, but in reality, major problems aren't so cut and dry. They are unending concerns, things you need to constantly maintain and improve upon, face the risk of a crash when you run out. Okay, relationships. Items are similar to traditional RPG inventory items or equipment. They're noteworthy objects you always have on your person, or at least usually have around. Maybe they have plot importance or are personally significant enough that losing them would hurt. Usually they're simply things with no real bonus mechanical aspects tied to them, but some could provide a benefit. Okay. Okay. Alright, let's do this all over again. And then I think, depending on how long I've been at it, could probably stop once I have Rita figured out. Okay, so, description. Okay. Let's leave that. I don't know why I didn't just do this. +2 insight, +1 prestige. So +2 skill. And then +1 skill. Okay. And no weaknesses. Okay. I need to shut up. I need to figure out more of their backstory to really figure out these parts. Okay. Weakness, and then -2. I'm using the brackets to remind myself that this is something I need to sort out. Okay. Goal, concerns. And we're gonna go 3 physical health and 2 mental health. Okay, I need to do some more thinking. And it's kind of hard to focus on that while streaming. Give me a minute. Okay, actually, what we can do is we can look at Rita and Angel's parents and flesh them out a bit as citizens rather than protagonists. Okay, so Nepo baby Karen. Okay, so let's make Edwin a corporate executive. Oops. And his personality. Nine. Sleepy and imperceptive. No. Oh, I like this. Cold calculator. It fits with a kind of vague idea that I'm getting the way things work for the haves. 1 second. Okay, got a phone call and it wasn't one I wanted to ignore. Okay, right, what was I doing? Right, I was figuring out motivation. Actually, I want one of the parents, one of Angel's parents, to be a cold calculator. Let's make the mom the cold calculator, actually, because it's usually the father who is the cold calculator in these situations. I'll figure out her role in a minute. I just wanted to put that down. And, oops. this one. And he is smiling salesman. I like that. Smiling salesman. And motivation. Burn it all down. 8. Loyalty is a sucker's game. Yeah. It fits. Oh my gosh. Loyalty is a sucker's game. Yes. Perfect. Her role. Oops, this one. 15. Police detective. No, let's make her attack pro. So, motivation. 7. Justice for all. Nope, that's not gonna fit. 17. Sunk cost fallacy. What does that mean? I've heard of it before. People demonstrate a greater tendency to continue an endeavor once an investment in money, effort, or time has been made. This is the sunk cost fallacy, and such behavior may be described as throwing good money after bad, or refusing to succumb to what may be described as cutting one's losses. Okay. People can remain in failing relationships because they haven't already invested too much to leave. Other people are swayed by arguments that a war must continue because lives will have been sacrificed in vain unless victory is achieved. This doesn't quite fit with what I'm going with her. 18. Trust and faith should matter. Nope, that doesn't fit her either. Loyalty is a sucker's game. Let's go with might makes right. Okay. Okay, secret request. No, wait, this is it. Secret. 19. Now this is a secret for the dad. Using stolen identity. No. I like this, actually. And we'll use the 19 for the request. his description will really depend on what I come up with for Angel. So I picked corporate executive for him, right? Yes. So that means, where is it? +2 intimidation. -2 insight. And +2 prestige. Okay, and now, and the secret, whoops, alright, secret, I mean, all the way down here. Knows too much, but isn't aware. No, not quite. 9. Inherited property. How's that a secret? But yeah, that makes sense. Inherited property. Although, to be honest, everything is inherited in this situation. And then for the motivation, for request 8. Lay low at your place. No. Not quite fit. Pick up a dead drop. No. Gotta find a new job. She doesn't have a job. Missing family member. I can work with that. It's a secret if she's hiding her inheritance. That's true. Lurking in building Lego. That's fine. Okay. Right. And then after that was... I mean, he has a secret second family and she has missing family members. So there's secrets all over the place. Physical health. Mental health. Like, I could see women back before, you know, in ye olden days, trying to keep an inheritance secret from their husbands so their husbands wouldn't take it. Because technically anything that the wife owned actually belonged to the husband. It never belonged to them. So, skills as a tech bro. +2 prestige. And I think it was -2 discipline. Yes. Okay, so let's underline. Okay, so Rita's parents, Timothy and Bethany. So Tim for short, and Beth for short. Okay, alrighty. Yeah, I think once I'm done figuring this out with Rita's parents, with Tim and Beth, I'm gonna call it a day, and then we'll start, and then decide if I want to keep messing around with this on stream or do it in my own time. But I need to, or maybe I just wait until I get a text from my mom. I'm gonna meet her somewhere later. Maybe I'll get her to feed me, or at least get me a snack. Snacky! Okay, 15, retail worker. Okay. And then, whoops. And then, personality. Whoops, that one. 12. Cold calculator. Why does it like giving me that one? 19. Generous and giving. Yeah. A nice contrast to Angel's parents. And then motivation. 13. No more secrets. 1. Burn it all down. Generous and giving with the motivation to burn it all down. Loyalty is the second game. We're trying to contrast with Angel's parents. What was it again? 16. Strength in numbers. There we go. I could see that working. Okay, secrets. Secrets. 12. Massive debts. Yeah. And requests. This one. 1. Clear my good name. I don't think that'll quite work. 6. How about my neighborhood? That fits. Okay, no description yet. I'll probably do some poking around. Go into one of my video games and mess with character creators. Because I have no skill at drawing. Physical health. Whoops. Mental health. And skills. Okay, so he was retail worker. Go back up here. Where was it? Where did it go? Here we go. +1 persuasion, -1 prestige. Okay, and then for Beth. Alright. And 7. Gang member. Waiter or waitress. There we go. Whoops. So, retail worker and waitress, I'd say they are further down than I thought. But that's good, because it's a nice contrast to a corporate executive and a tech pro. Or Texas, I guess. Okay, and then, oopsie, come here. Personality. 20 again. Jesus. Hero complex. And then motivation, 2. Cash rolls everything around me. 5. Hustle and grind. Yeah. Okay, secrets. 6. Dying due to medical condition. I can work with that. This is kind of fun. Kinda? What do I mean kinda? It is fun. 18. Wanna go viral? No. Steal something for me. Steal the cure. There we go. Okay, Lucy, come here. So that means that she's in poor physical health. And yet still working. That tracks. Skills. What were the skills for a waitress? Whoopsie. This one. Plus 1 discipline. Minus 1 prestige. Okay. I think that was everything. Yeah. Whew. Okay. Let's see, with personality. Okay. Oh, there's a strike through. I'm just brain. Okay. Okay, let's see. Whoopsie. Personality. There we go. With the smiling salesman. Where was it? Plus 1. Cold calculator. What's the cold calculator? That's 0. I'm gonna, even if it is 0, I'm gonna put it in there so I don't forget. Okay. And then generous giving. Keep doing that. Generous and giving. Okay, wow. Plus 3. I mean, that makes sense. They would have a plus 3 to reputation because they're generous and giving. Okay, 1 second again. Okay, I'm back. I forgot to unmute myself. Gotta finish this up and then go meet my mom. Okay, hero complex. +3. That's interesting that they both have a personality that gives them a +3. Okay. So, since she's dying to a medical condition, we'll give her 1 of 1 physical health, 3 of 3 mental health. We'll balance him with 2 of 2 and 2 of 2. For now, we'll put the others at 2 of each as well. Okay, so these are just basic characters. I don't even know if they have any siblings. I guess that's something to decide later. Okay. So, we'll call it here then. I will hopefully have pictures or something of what they look like next time. Because I want to work on this a little more on stream before I decide whether I want to keep going on stream or switch to doing it off stream. So this is, I hope this was a good idea of how a solo TTRPG works. Yes, I fudged with the roles, but some of them just didn't fit with the general idea I had, and that's okay. It's ultimately your story, and so there you go. I know in Xenon City Blues, which, oh, I don't have it. I have to go digging for it. Anyway, basically, Stefan wrote a story using the City Unseen core rules as an example, and that's part of the downloads for the TTRPG on itch. So you'll get it regardless. You won't get the dice roller unless you pay at least $5, but it's a pay what you want. But the rest of the PDFs you get, this is just a, it's a bit like Google Docs, but it's not part of Google Docs at all, and I'm pretty happy with how it's working, with how it's worked for me. So that's it for now. Do I have anything going next week? No, next week I should be able to stream on Wednesday. So, 1 second, jeez. I almost done it. She calls again. Yeah, she was just asking me to grab something. So yeah, probably next week I'll go ahead and mess around with this some more, and then depending on how it goes, I'll decide if I want to keep playing with this or switch to playing a visual novel. So thank you everyone for coming, for joining me. Make sure to drink water, eat food, take a nap, take your meds, take a shower. Don't forget laundry if you have laundry, which I do, which I'm going to take care of after I finish the stream. Make sure you get your chores done, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye!